going to talk for a few minutes today about the intersectionality between treatment and those that are involved in the criminal justice system. The name of my organization is the Staying Out program. You may be familiar with Staying Out as one of the first therapeutic community programs in the United States that was long-lasting, produced strong results, and delivered treatment services to people while they were incarcerated. And we talked about some data today, and the data that we have, although it's been a while since it's been studied, the data is just as relevant in my book as it ever was. And the second set of data that we'll talk about, and I do want to recognize one of the heroes of our field, Rod Mullen, who's here in the front row, and we'll be talking some about data from an Amity program at the Donovan facility, which was also some number of years ago, but still just as relevant today. And then lastly, I want to talk about some new programming that Staying Out is involved in with community-based treatment, where we're partnering as an alternative to incarceration with the probation department in New York City and the parole department in New York City to provide specialized treatment services. And those, even though they're in the early stages, are already, not surprisingly, producing excellent outcomes. Now, I also thought that I got confused, and I thought that I had more than 20 minutes, so I have a lot of slides. I'm going to go through them very quickly. All right, so that was quickly, I told you about Staying Out. I just want to point to this online reference about what the therapeutic community is. This is available online. It was updated most recently about 5 years ago. It's a great resource. I'll skip through some of this historical information because I know that Ed and others have talked about that and try to get to some of the better stuff. So the group in the United States, NIDA, National Institute of Drug Abuse, has produced a great publication. It's available online. It's called The Principles of Drug Abuse Treatment for Criminal Justice Populations. I would strongly encourage everybody to take a look at that, download it. It's available in PDF, and you can really get a lot of information about what some of the best practices are in criminal justice-oriented treatment. Right, but to talk specifically about the type of programs that we have in the United States, I talked about probation and parole, corrections-based programming, what we call treatment alternatives, and what are referred to as specialty courts. I think you may be familiar that there's a very widespread movement in the United States to provide specialty court parts for those that are addicted. So you are monitored, referred to treatment, and monitored by a specifically trained judge. We call them drug courts. Very, very popular in all 50 states in the U.S. And essentially, you're diverting people away from incarceration into a treatment program, often into a therapeutic community, which produces excellent results for this population. In the United States, there's a triple system of justice, of city, state, and federal. I think that that's probably common in most places that you go. All right, we're going to skip through some of these slides here. But basically to tell you that no matter what door you use to access treatment, it's the right door. All right, so there's no wrong door approach. But we are a big believer that contact with the criminal justice system presents an excellent opportunity for change and intervention. Right, so what do we do at Staying Out? We have multiple programs now that exist in the community. Male residential program, female residential program, outpatient treatment, outreach programs, and we operate a training institute for those that are involved, that would like to be involved in delivering what we call custody-based treatment. So I mentioned earlier the Staying Out program. Staying Out opened in 1977. It opened as a 3-year pilot project. It became more formalized after 3 years, and it it was the first prison-based therapeutic community in the United States to last more than 3 years. Many other states have followed suit in the U.S. that they now provide what I refer to as custody-based treatment, and many other countries have followed suit as well. So essentially providing the residential or the therapeutic community program to individuals while they're incarcerated. The key approach that we have here is that we call it the top-down approach. So we try to get, I've always tried to get the buy-in from the highest levels of the corrections in the prison system. We have a separate set of housing units that exist outside of the general population. And in staying out, we would house people in housing units based on the time that they had in the program. Of great significance, all of the staying out programs and all of our current operations at staying out all include TC graduates, people who are recovering individuals, as well as academically qualified people. So a blended staffing pattern of both recovering individuals, people who have criminal justice histories personally, and people who are medically or academically trained. All right, I'm going to skip through these. This is a quick slide, although again it's old, but it tells you a little bit about the percentage of people that were arrested post-treatment. Of great significance, to summarize the data, there was a study done that showed that after 5 years of completion of staying out, 77% of individuals who had successfully completed all phases of the prison portion of the treatment, plus the recommended aftercare, which was residential, had not been arrested or employed and were drug-free after 5 years. Dr. Taylor talked before about gender-responsive programming, and it's significant to note that in that study, the people who came out of the women's treatment program had a 91% success rate compared to 68% of men. So we say 77%, but it's actually the women that were boosting up that average. All right, and this is some of the data from Rod's program that I'll be skip through quickly. All right, so one of the things that we do, and I've always believed in staying out, is that if you have a custody-based treatment program, you have to have specific correction officer training on TC theory and practice. We have to have regular TC-trained officers that work in conjunction with the program, and we have to have buy-in from correctional and criminal justice staff that if it's not an issue of security to the facility, that the TC and its behavioral interventions can manage that within the environment versus using the corrections disciplinary approach. All right, so the treatment emphasis is what it would always be, but this is sort of a slide that gives an example of how we might perceive things. Right? So attitudinal and behavioral change is paramount. In order to get that mutuality with corrections, we see them as a well-behaved participant, and the corrections department may view that individual as a model inmate. When we talk about attitude and behavior, the lifestyle of pure change can't be actualized until someone leaves custody. And that's why we always, at Staying Out, recommend when people leave the custody-based portion of the program, that it's immediately followed by residential aftercare in the community. And that's a key component. And all the data, both from the AMBI project, from Staying Out, from others, there's a key CREST program in Delaware, also produced great results. All of that data showed that the continuum of treatment has to be followed through from custody to residential aftercare, followed by outpatient. And then, as has been emphasized repeatedly here, length of time counts. Length of time matters. Contact with the participant over a long landing strip is very significant. So that's why we say Staying Out developed something called serendipity. Serendipity is the aftercare portion of the program. These programs operate vibrantly today. We work with the parole department so that we have a single individual that supervises all of the people that are in our programs. We do that with both New York City probation and New York State parole, so that we have contact with a single individual who can be really an extension of our treatment team, rather than a patchwork of 7 or 8 different people that have different perspectives on whether the person should be there or not there. All right, and so all serendipity program participants participate in community service as a part of their stay. This just goes through the 77% that we talked about a few minutes ago. All right, so a number of years ago, not that many number of years ago, but we developed a specialized outpatient program for people that were involved in the criminal justice system. We originally were housed in the New York City Probation Department, so those individuals, probation is an alternative sentence that people can get where they're supervised in the community by a probation officer. They live at home and they attend treatment with us. And we have again, a set number of officers, a set number of people that participate with us, and then obviously they can go on to residential and other types of care as needed. All right, so it's still a 12-month treatment cycle in an outpatient setting, but we still also have residential as an option for anybody who needs it. The program began about 15 years ago. All right, and the third bullet point is really what I want to emphasize, is that of the first 150 people that participated in this program, after 3 years, only 3 had been rearrested. So 147 successes to 3 people that had been rearrested. Rearrest, of course, is the indicator of success that the criminal justice system was looking for. But it's a tremendous success. Tremendous success. And I was struck this morning when one of the other presenters said, well, I tell people I work in the addiction treatment system, and the first question I usually get is, well, does that really work? Does that really work? Well, you know what doesn't work is incarceration without services. We know already that that's setting people up for a total and complete failure. And with minimum investment on the part of the criminal justice system into these types of services, while people are engaged in the criminal justice system, whether that's in an in-prison setting or on an aftercare basis or on a probation basis, we know that that minimum investment produces results that are off the charts. So the question, does it really work? Yes, it really works, but you need to match the resources and have the proper training. Right, so one of the ways that we do that is that we have cross-training that we have with all of our criminal justice partners. Criminal justice partners continuously change, so we have to continuously redo the training. In New York, we're actually, the TC, the A Association in New York is now redoubling our efforts to partner with drug court judges and get them trained. And we're starting a new pilot project at Rikers Island, which is the jail in New York City, to provide TC linkages. So that's just something that's not something that you check off the box, right? This is something that we do continuously on an annualized basis. Who hasn't been trained? What are the concepts? What are the tours? How can we get people more adequately engaged? Right? And we must heavily use role models inside of all of the TC environment. Right? So this is the same, and this comes from a lot of George's literature as well, but the use of role models is paramount. Right? So I'm getting the high side here. I'm going to try to go through quickly. One of the main things that we also believe in heavily is to have annual recognition, annual events outside of our facility, graduations, where we bring people that work inside of the prison or the court system, and we can recognize those individuals. And I wanted to just call that out for a second, because the criminal justice system and the prison system in particular is a negative reinforcement system. And what do I mean by that? It changes mindset. People want to be a part of something which is successful. All right, so recommended reading. Of course, everybody in the world will recommend George DeLeon's book. Is a hero in this field. So I'll throw it up. I threw it up as well. Mine's bigger. All right, but I'll also just point out that this is the. All right, so this is available on the internet. It's a treatment improvement protocol, a tip. They're available from the U.S. government. You can PDF this substance abuse treatment for people in the criminal justice system. It's a great read. It has there's a whole series. This happens to be tip 44. I think they're up to 60 or there's a lot of them, but they're great. They're available. And this is a new book here, which was released last year, and there's a chapter in there that I authored about the New York TC history experience for those that are interested in history and want to talk about how a lot of the pioneer programs started. Read the whole text, but particularly chapter 7. All right. All right, so that is it for me. I appreciate your time.